Goeiedag, mijn naam is Evan, ik ben immigratieprocureur here in America, and ik wil jou help om immigratiewet te verstaan. Now, today I have some really big news, and it's been confirmed by multiple people who I trust and have seen documents, and it is, like I said, I can verify that this is actually true, that there has been an Afrikaner that has been granted asylum here in the United States. They are currently residing in North Dakota, and they did their interview with USCIS in Minneapolis. So this is a really big deal, but big star next to it, huge but here that we got to discuss just to make sure we're all on the same page here and understanding that doesn't necessarily mean anything for any other of the Afrikaners who are applying for asylum in the United States. Because, and I'm saying this because it's gone out on all the different group chats, everyone's been hearing about it, but I want to be the voice of reason here and try and calm everyone down. Because you have to remember, unlike the refugee program, where the government has pretty much already decided this group is in need of help, asylum is an individual case-by-case analysis by USCIS. And I have seen people with the same stories from the same country being denied, one being denied and one being granted asylum. You have the individual burden to prove that USCIS asylum officer that you either have faced persecution in the past by the government or someone the government is unable and willing to control due to an immutable characteristic, which then gives the rebuttable presumption of a well-founded fear, which they will then try and rebut by looking at country conditions and different things or avenues that they might have information about that country, or you prove that you have the well-founded fear of future persecution. Now, from what I've heard, this individual or couple was represented. They did have an attorney, and they, did their biometrics, their interview. They, I think, applied back in June and were just granted asylum. I've reached out to a few of the people who have said they've talked to these individuals and tried to see if they would like to come on the channel and discuss the experience so you can get a better understanding of it. But again, the reason that I jumped to make this video is because while many of you are very excited about this, and I'm excited, it's a great thing. It is awesome. Congratulations to them. I'm glad they will get to be here and be safe. That's a huge deal. But I did want to make sure that the general Afrikaner community understands as a whole that this doesn't mean anything for your individual case. You can't point and say, you can try it, it doesn't mean anything. Well, my other friend was granted asylum. That doesn't matter. They don't care. That's not part of the analysis. It is all an individual analysis. And I will tell you that this is the first and only case of an Afrikaner that I've heard of so far being granted asylum since this program has begun. And for that one person, I can think of 4 names off the top of my head who were rejected by USCIS and are now in removal proceedings. So, one compared to the number that have been rejected, the odds aren't that great still, but it is good news. And for full disclosure, this person was not represented by my firm. I have nothing to do with them. I think it's great, and that's awesome. But I did want to just put out, because there is all this talk, and chatter amongst the group chats of Afrikaners who are here. It is a great thing, but remember, one win doesn't necessarily guarantee you to have the same victory. So you got to make sure you go in prepared, whether you have representation or not, that you understand the requirements, the 3 elements, who your persecutor is, the government or someone the government's unable and willing to control, the definition of persecution and that high level, that high bar, and to prove that it is because of an immutable characteristic, something you can't change, something you shouldn't have to change, which is, in this case, your race. So kudos to them. Great job for them. I think that's awesome. I'm glad they'll get to stay here and be safe. And I do hope this is indicative of hearing, of USCIS being more open to granting asylum to Afrikaners. And I hope that we hear more soon. As soon as I hear from the few that have had interviews with the firm that I work for, if we hear anything, I'll let you know as soon as possible. But keep your heads up. This is good news, and let's see where it goes from here. So remember to like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you for the next video.